My name is Sabina Cebedos, and as president of the Slovak-American Cultural Center, along with the team, I would like to warmly welcome you to the virtual book launch of Ja som Milan, or I Am Milan, children's book. Today, we will hear from the authors of this unique, creative, innovative book, which shares with the youngest minds the charisma, leadership, and courage of General Milan Rastislav Štefánik. I am so excited that we can launch this book virtually. Our dedicated SACC viewers may recall that last year we had a webinar on the life of Štefánik by Professor Stanislava. We discussed the many achievements of Štefánik and his legacy. You may know that there are many books written about the life of Štefánik in many different languages. And out of curiosity, I put his name into an Amazon search, and I got 113 hits of books in different languages about Štefánik's life. But did you know that there isn't a children's book? Wow, definitely not in Slovakian. This is one of the reasons why we're meeting two brilliant young authors to tell us about why they decided to put pen to paper. So now, without further ado, we'd like to share with you a video about the book, which we'll talk about today, Ja som Milan. Wow, what a wonderful video. Just to give everyone a background, those who aren't Slovak readers, this is one book in a series that the authors hope to launch. And in the videos, the authors speak about their motivation to write the book, some of the reasons that they love books, that they want to tell stories of Slovak heroes, and that they want to inspire kids. And so now, without further ado, I'm honored to be joined today by the two authors of this brilliant children's book, Róbert Čemerička and his wife, Stanislava Čemeričková. Welcome, vítajte.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Thank you so
Sabina.
much. Oh, it's so wonderful to have both of you here today. I know I'll shorten and I'll call Róbert Robo, if that's okay. Stanislava Stanka. Congratulations on this brilliant book, which we will delve into in more detail.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction, Sabina. And we are really glad that we are here, that you invited us.
Thank you so much for being with us. So let's get to it. Róbert, I know you studied international business at the University of Economics in Bratislava, and Stanka, you studied economics and management in Nitra. Robo, now you're working in IT as a business analyst, and Stanka in the field of HR. This is your first book. How did you start writing children's book, and how did you come into this?
Okay, well, I started because all it was my idea, I would say so, and Stanka somehow joined along the way because she saw that without her it might be a disaster. And actually, I'm pretty sure she was right, or she is right. So it was. The idea behind the book was actually that it was more inspirations along the way, I would say. So that's why we have also in the video that the way is the goal, actually. And somehow because we were expecting twins at one moment. We have an older daughter, which will be now 6 years old. Now we have twins, which will be 3 years old in June. And when Stanka was expecting our twins, we were thinking that it would be nice to kind of share the stories of our heroes or the great Slovaks, along the way. And actually there were even more inspirations, but this was the main idea because we wanted to share with our kids. And we were looking at the market, and we wanted to have a book for young readers, right? The really small ones, like 6 years old, maybe 5 years old. And sadly, somehow it was there was no books on Slovak market. So we somehow, or I was thinking that, well, why don't we create one? It sounds funny. It was like a funny idea, and now we are here. We have the book, which is amazing, I would say.
Well, congratulations. That's fantastic. And how motivational that there wasn't something out there, you identified it, and you made it happen. I mean, I find it very fascinating that there isn't a children's book on Štefánik, as there's so many books about his life. Obviously, he was a hero and left behind a huge legacy. On your website, which we just watched the video from, it's fantastic. It's called Veľkí ľudia z malej krajiny. It translates to say, I guess, big people from a little country. Why did you choose this name for your website and sort of for the series?
It was intentionally. Because we know that the Slovakia is a small country, right? Everyone, well, maybe a lot of people. I was personally in USA when I was on the work and travel program, but this was long ago when I was a university student. And I remember that I've discussed with a lot of American guys, and they asked like Slovakia, where it is. Some remember Czechoslovakia, but and some confuse Slovakia and Slovenia. But like we are small in the Europe, but if you look at the people and what they achieved in abroad, which is also for you guys, like you're now living in the USA, and well, you're Slovak as well, and we have a lot of successful people. So that's why we said that actually we want to bring the stories of successful Slovaks, which somehow overgrown the Slovakia, which is like a small country, but they're like great. I would say great, or another big great, and that's why the name came up.
I absolutely love it. I know that the Slovak Tourism Ministry, I think it was a while back, had this logo, Little Big Country. In your view, how are the two concepts linked?
They are linked a little bit because I believe the logo before was that, as I said, Slovakia is a small country, but with the great, I would say, amazing things, with nature, for example, and all the things. That's what we also wanted to say, that small country, but the people are great. Not only that they were successful abroad, but also like thinking somehow they overgrown the country. So it's like it's similar in this way. That's why maybe it sounds like Little Big. It's it doesn't sound that what's the reason behind, but it's like this.
I have several copies of this book, and for our audience, this book is in Slovak, and we'll talk about it more and some of the reasons behind that. A good friend, Imelda, brought me several of these books from Slovakia from you guys, so thank you. And I know that in the beginning of the book, you dedicated the book to your kids, and you sort of alluded to that you have 3 little ones. So tell us a little bit more about them.
You mean about our kids, right? Because
yes.
they were the main inspiration. So maybe I will come back to the inspiration for the book, because I remember it started when we went to see the theater play here in Slovakia. It was locally about the Štefánik, and I remember it like it was today or yesterday when my wife said that, okay, let's go to theater and see the game, the theater play about Štefánik. And I said, okay, well, I know he was a general, but that was all actually, because I never learned about Štefánik, the Milan, as we call him. It's Milan for us. And so we went there, and actually it was amazing, because then I somehow saw, I was embarrassed, I would say, because I was embarrassed that like such a man, and I was not aware about his life, what he achieved, like what was his. I knew that he was a general, that he contributed to the Czechoslovakia, creation of Czechoslovakia, but then when I saw it, the play, I was embarrassed. I was thinking like, this should not happen to my kids. They should learn about the people. And we've been also to New York, love the books, and we've seen there that you have actually a series for the young readers about the great people, not only American, but also around the world, like Einstein and so on. So that was also part of inspiration. And as I said, we were looking at the market. There was nothing, and we were surprised. And then we said like, okay, so let's not complain. Let's do something about it. And yeah, the rest is the history now.
That's fantastic. And so how was it working together, since we have Stanka here? How was it working together as a husband and wife? Obviously, I alluded to you have completely different professional fields, and you started, writing a children's book. So how was that dynamic and that collaboration together?
You want to say something? Oh, it was I would say tough, because at the beginning, I started this idea, so I started, okay, let's make a kids book about Štefánik. Then I was joined by our illustrator, Mrs. Milica Dolakova, and she joined somehow also because I get a contact to her and I discussed about the idea, and she said, okay, I love it, okay, let's do it, and she said it would be also nice for her to leave something behind her. Actually, it was like this. And so I started to write the story because she was the illustrator. And when my wife saw what I was writing, and when I wanted to have everything in the book, but we know that it's a small book, and she said, like, okay, I have to help him. And actually, thanks to her, the book is live now. But we had many fights about the words and about the creative process. And yeah, so when we finished the book, we were like, okay, fine. Now let's argue about something else. It's also a good point, because you argue about things about the books, so you argue about the creative things, so not about some unimportant politics and I don't know.
Indeed. And I think Stanka, having an HR, human resources background, probably assessing people and motivating them is her specialty. So perhaps she was your motivator well, and yes, simultaneously you motivated each other to get the best elements and the best historical facts into this children's book.
She is a great motivator, and actually I have to admit that without her, yes, the book would be still in progress, I would say, because I'm kind of, I'm really start up on idea. I like it. I do something, but then in the long term, I lose the motivation. But thanks to Stanka, we kept it and created the book.
Love the story that you have little kids and you're writing really for them to learn. The book is very compact, and you alluded to that. It's about 38 pages. How did you pack all of the history about Štefánik into the book? Kind of what was the message you wanted to convey, and what did you prioritize and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have a long answer, short answer. I'll go with the short one. It was tough. Again, it was tough because his life is so full and rich, actually, because he's been to many places. His achievements are like just too many to put all into the small book for the children. But that was also benefit of my wife, because we tried to look on Milan through the eyes of the small kids, and also from the parents' view. Yes, what we want to say to the kids, but also to the parents. And so, and that was also the fight between ourselves about the words. I like history. I like the First World War. So for me, I would dedicate like 10 pages of the First World War, because he was flying and how dangerous it was actually at the beginning in the aviation. So it was not like this, like today, but then we agreed that it's too much. We have to really shrink and get to just important stuff. And hopefully we did it. But yes, we could make another book about Milan, or even two more, but that's not the point, actually. Yeah, we want to just say the message, his achievement, and that was the creation, or he was contributing to the creation of Czechoslovakia in the past, and what he did and how he did it. He went to France, without knowing the language, and he said, like, I will learn the language there. He didn't have any job, so he was just there and say that I will find a job because I love astronomy. And that's something also that corresponds also to you guys. I mean, not only in America, but all around the world of Slovaks, because it takes courage, to go to the foreign country and to achieve there something.
Pointa nie je dať tam všetko.
Yes, exactly.
A dať im priestor, nech hľadajú.
Yeah, that's a good point, because also Stanka said that actually we want to motivate the kids to learn by themselves. So they should be kind of entry point, because it's for the small readers. But once they are like more advanced in the reading, they should also look for the facts by themselves, and and find a story for themselves, find something that they are interested in more. So for example, if they're like me, more in the First World War, they can find it, and we want to create this good first impression, because we know personally that, not for the Milan, because I never learned, but for other great persons, we were teenager in school, you have different thoughts, and then you first encounter those great Slovaks, and then it might not resonate that much because it's something that you have to learn. But when we start young and the kids already know, I remember Milan, he was this, and they already have a good first impression and can build up on it.
Definitely. And what I love about this book is written, as though Milan is speaking to the kids, to the readers, right? And
yes.
Your audience is kids, but it's also a type of book here in the US, and maybe many of our audience members know, we have Sesame Street, and it's a children's kind of show, but you can watch it with your kids, and it's interesting, the dynamics and, the topics that they bring up. And I find, as you mentioned, that even older adults who are reading with their kids can learn something about Štefánik that they might have not known. And I do love that approach, that it's like Štefánik speaking directly to them and motivating the kids and inspiring. I went to France, I did this, and it's about me and what you can also achieve, So I really love that approach that you took, kind of a personal one-on-one. So it's like our hero from the past talking to our future generation. I was going to ask the question, obviously Štefánik was born in 1880 and died in 1919, and it's more than 100 years later. What children can learn from his life. There's so much that can be learned. What is sort of something that you learned in your research that you didn't know about Štefánik?
Actually, it was something that we encountered, this unbreakable will, because he continued somehow even through the struggles, and he somehow he set a goal and he went to achieve the goal. Mm-hmm. So that was something that we were really surprised to see, because we know that he was successful, but sometimes you are successful because you might have a luck. There was also a luck for Milan, but he was really persistent. And for me, what was surprising is that actually he was not successful from the money-wise perspective, because he traveled all around the world, which now might someone see as a successful, because he traveled to Africa, he went to Asia, to see the eclipse of the sun. But for these travels, he had to pay by himself. So actually, he was really in debt a lot, but he knew why he's doing that, and so that was surprising. And actually, it's something that also today's kids can learn, because now we say it's easier for everyone, but I think this is something that if you take and apply to your life, the Slovakia will be better, because everyone can learn from it. And thanks what you said about the form, how we selected for the book, that Milan is addressing the people. That's why we also made it like full illustrated, because we wanted to make it approachable for the kids. And so that's why we decided like this. And also there is, sorry, Sabina, there is another benefit, because we already received the feedbacks from the parents, which says like, okay, I was reading the book to my kids, and actually they were asking about things. So I myself had to study, I have to search in the books, like, okay, what Milan did. So I'm prepared, and I can tell my kids, more.
You said it before, really Slovaks, if you look at our history, have achieved so many great things. I find it so fascinating. It's true. There's so many Slovak visionaries, really. And it wasn't easy for Štefánik. If those who are avid Štefánik fans and have read a lot about his travels and escapades and all of his achievements, he kept being persistent. And that's one of the big things we want to teach our kids in the future generation about persistence. It's not like he came up with a concept and it automatically happened. He had to go to France, he had to convince people, he had to do things perhaps that he might not want to do in order to achieve his goals. And so I love that's part of that story, and it definitely will show our kids that hard work pays off, but you do have to put in the time and effort. So speaking of time and effort, how long did it take you to put this beautiful book together?
It was like 2 years, I would say. Yeah, 2 years, something more like about 2 years from starting till printing of the book. Yeah, it was kind of long period, but since we are not writers professionally, and also the illustration took a lot. Yeah, because we did it like it was a side job, because normally we were employed. Stanka was with our kids. Our illustrator, she also worked like a normal day job, and then in the evenings and weekends we spent on the book. So, but it was worth.
So it's definitely a labor of love. And I do want to tell our audience, I mean, this whole book is essentially crowdfunded. So the production of it, and that's why, you know, if you are interested in the book, you should definitely support this young couple so that they can continue the series. So I know that it was actually quite successful, and I got connected with the two of you through Lenka Turan, who worked for the Slovak ministry, foreign ministry in Washington, D.C. at the Slovak embassy at that time, and shared with me this book and this amazing campaign to fund it. And that's how we sort of got connected. I guess it was over a year ago now when we first started chatting. So I'm so happy to see the book on the market. And obviously, as I said, I have a copy and to share it with our kids here in the U.S. because I think that it's a very, very valuable book. We talked about the illustrator, and I know she couldn't join us today. How did you come up with the sketch of Štefánik, and what were you trying to convey through this design?
Yeah, we said that it's for kids, so it should be this playful character. It's not like it's not like real life. We wanted to have a more cartoon style. And that's what we also said to our illustrator. And actually, she did pretty amazing job, I would say. And also, we I think stated it in the crowdfunding campaign that she agreed to a job. And actually, in this book, it's also important to say a lot of words with the illustration, with the picture, right? Because we don't have that many words. Of course, we have to make correct words, but also she had to translate the message to the illustration. And she did it, so yes.
And I'm sure you'll speak to it a little bit later, but kind of the images of Štefánik when he was traveling and I just love it. I just love kind of how he looks. And I know that in the book, there's some kind of like special codes and things for big Štefánik followers. So give us like one thing that you've kind of added.
Then we have the book. So if you see there, this star sign, which is Cassiopeia. And it's there because he finished the university with his work about this star constellation. So that's why we put it here. And some people will know, some not. It's like W, if you take it like this. And then what we also have is the flag that Milan designed by himself with one, I think, Czech colleague as well. It's this one. And that was actually used during the First World War. It was more for the diplomatic cases. But Milan did a flag, which was also amazing because he was really skillful not only in astrology, but he also made another subjects, I would say. So that was something. So we put like small hints, and I wouldn't say Easter eggs, but it's some hidden gems. I don't know if that's the correct word. But someone who knows Milan's life will find it.
One of the things in the end of the book is there's a beautiful quote. I'll read it out loud. Žil som krásny život, prežil som večnosť v sekundách, which sort of translates to I have lived a beautiful life. I lived an eternity or a lifetime in seconds. This quote is very profound. Why did you kind of include it in the book?
Yes, we had many quotes actually, but this one was something that resonated with us, that he was, because he didn't have a long life, right? He didn't have the chance to live a long life. So, but what he went through his like 39 years, that was something that some people, 2-3, never encountered through the whole life, 8 years. And he was actually, he had tough periods, of course. He had some doubts, but then he said also through the stars, he enjoyed the life actually. So he didn't complain that much, but he tried to look, on what he can achieve and set the goals and get to the goals. And that's what we love actually. And when we see the quote which is on the back of the book, we somehow say that it's beautiful. That's why it's there.
Indeed. We have some questions from the audience, which I'd love to ask you as well. One is, how did the title of the book come about? How did you come up with Jasom Milan?
Yes. Again, long and short story. The short story is that there is also a book series in the US, which is called I Am, and there are many names, like I Am Rosa Parks, for example. So we took inspiration from there, but it came out because we went to see another play. We were thinking, how should the book begin? And actually, this first sentence, like I am, because normally when you meet someone, the introduction is the first one, and this resonates with you. So we wanted to say like this is the book about Milan. So I am Milan, yes, Milan. The next books will be always like I am. So the great people will introduce himself.
To vlastne každé dieťa pochopí.
Yeah,
Takto sa priblížiš dieťaťu, keď povieš Milan, nepovieš celé.
Exactly, and it's also understandable to the kids because normally you introduce yourself to the kids with your first name, not the second, not like hi, I am Milan Rastislav Štefánik, because that's too long. So that's why we said it.
There's some questions that also came through about, did you like Milica's illustrations right away, or were there adjustments that were made along the way, and kind of how was that collaborative process?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't perfect, of course, because she had her style. We had some ideas, and always it's a clash. It's something that because we provided the text for picture and the background, like what should be on the picture. Something. So she came with the first idea, also about the Milan first idea, and it was more this creative process. But in the end, we were fully satisfied. So, but of course, it wasn't that easy. That she drew the first picture, and we said, yeah, that's great. No. It's always, I think, like this.
Akože vždy sme vedeli, akú ten obrázok má mať nejakú emóciu.
So
my sme vedeli, čo z toho musí byť cítiť, a do toho sme
exactly. So we always knew like what the emotion we want to have from the picture, and then in the end, after because we prepared it 2 years, so after some time she also tuned in to our waves, and it was easier. But of course, we also thought about some pictures and what should be there, what not. She wanted to have something because it meant to her something. So it was creative process. But it wasn't like fighting. It was more this constructive approach.
Indeed. And to make perfection, it takes time and adjustments, right? In all things
in
life.
Exactly.
So even in writing, I would assume that it takes working and reworking until you get it to be what you want. And obviously, the more people that are involved in the project, everyone's views come across in the books. Can you tell us more about the special font the book is printed in or written in? So there's a particular font, and obviously, I just kind of put it out there too. Tell us more about that.
Well, the font is named Discount. Is created by one Slovak, which is a font designer as well. And because we wanted the first idea behind the book is that kids should read, right? So not only to know about the great Slovaks, but they should also read books. And we wanted to ease for them this experience. And we've been to TEDx in Bratislava a few years ago, and there was this guy presenting the font. And right away we liked the idea, that he's created a font for dyslexic people. Dyslexic people, sorry. And we said at that time, wow, it's a good idea. But then when we created the book, we said, like, why don't we put the font there, the book? Because it makes perfectly sense, because it would be normal for normal guys, and for dyslexic, it would be easier to read. And we get in contact with him. He agreed, actually. And that's why, that's how the font came into the book. And we were pretty happy about it.
A lot of people are asking the question that we wanted to answer towards the end. Is this book bilingual? Or we have the Slovak version that we're showing you now. Will there be an English version available? And where can people buy this version?
Yes, so far it's only Slovak version because we are we publish it by ourselves, and we firstly publish the Slovak version. We have the translation ready, but since there is no demand, I would say on Slovak market for English version or French version, we didn't publish it yet. So it's only Slovak for now. Of course, we would like to translate it not only to English but also to French and maybe Italian, because also Milan was there. But yeah, it's somehow it's a question of funds and also demand. I would say demand, not the funds, but demand, because then yes.
Well, maybe we can motivate you. One of the poll questions: would you buy this book in Slovak and English, or would you buy both versions? So we'll find out. Hopefully, with support, there'll be an English version, because I do think there's so many kids here in the United States that are of Slovak origin that might not read Slovak, or their parents might not have had the opportunity to learn Slovak, but would still benefit from learning about the life of Štefánik in an English version. So all of us will have to work to help support this project so that it can be in English, and it should be in everybody's home. How can they buy the book? We alluded to the website. Do you ship internationally? So give us a little bit more information on that.
Okay, so first of all, they can buy the book on our webpage, which was also mentioned in the video. It's www.velké-smalé-krajiny.sk. They can also buy the book in the bookstores in Slovakia, and we do ship internationally. Actually, the advantage is that we send the book then in this wrapping paper, which is special for Milan. And we also include the what's this called? Drawing?
A coloring book.
Exactly. And we do ship internationally also to US. It's like, I think, €9 if I remember correctly. So yes, you can buy it right away. Yes, but the shipping time is quite long.
Well, seeing that it's a pandemic and the postal service is slower,
yes.
I think on both ends. I did send a package to Slovakia for Christmas 2 years ago. It just arrived. So but don't worry. I think it'll probably just take a couple weeks. But for all of our audience, we will share the link to the book where you can purchase it. You'll receive it in just a matter of weeks. Add to your library. Maybe it'll encourage you to learn some Slovak. Well, at this point, I want to give you the opportunity, Róbert, to show us a presentation of the book and tell us a little bit more in detail.
Some screens, some illustrations from the book. So this is the first page, of course. Jászom Milan, as you see with this Cassiopeia. Then we have the first page, which is Milan is introducing himself, and of course he's saying something that he was born in the village of Košariska, and it's a beautiful land, under the Bradlo and the Avorina, which are the hills. And actually, this was something that we also wanted to say to people, because we believe that Slovakia is really beautiful from the nature-wise, and actually these are his words. And then we have also the picture when he went to Paris. So he went there, with one suitcase. Maybe it was more, but he was like convinced that he will become a famous astronomer. Then we have also like this. So this is the way how the illustration are done. So it's full page color. And we included some quotes from Milan wherever we could, and there are some text, which are not too many. The words are, we tried to get the words are easy for kids to understand, and also the message. It's like where he was. This is also something for myself, because I like the history. So when he was decorated during the First World War for his acts as a pilot, and also as for his contribution to this meteorology. He was flying over the front when he was in Italy, and he was, he was giving these leaflets to the Austro-Hungarian soldiers, because he knew that there were a lot of Czechs and Slovaks. This is something also that maybe we couldn't put in the book, but it was really dangerous, because when you wanted to, to drop the leaflets, you have to fly in a low altitude, meaning that the airplane was vulnerable to the fire. But Milan did it because he wanted, to address the guys like Slovania, Češi, Slovaks. And this is one of the last illustrations when actually it's a double side, when he said like, okay, he received the message that Czechoslovakia was was established, I would say. And he said also like the final defeat of Austro-Hungary, and the moment was here, that the long-awaited moment was here, that the free Czechoslovak Republic was announced or established. And he said that also my dream has come true, on which he worked so hard. And of course, we took the inspiration from existing photos. So you see, this is from Milan when he was in Zurich, because he was also in Switzerland. So we took his picture like a traveler. Then from Tahiti, so we added some details. This was the house that he built there to see the stars, and also the totem. And this is from the First World War in his airplane, which was this Maurice Foreman MF-11 that he flew. And this is the red decoration. So as you see, Milica Dolakova did really great job, and we like the pictures very much.
Thank you for showing us more details of each of the pages of the book. So I don't see any more audience questions, but what I'd love to do is now share the polls. So I'll ask Peter, what city town are you joining us from? There we go. Oh, we have someone from France. So maybe there's that question too. Will this book be translated to French, since Štefánik had made a big impact in France?
We would love to, yes.
Toronto as well, New Jersey, I'm sure. I know some people don't like to disclose, but New York, Virginia. So thank you for joining. And then we'll move on to the next question. Have you ever read a children's book about Štefánik? So it's sort of self-explanatory, but 100% of everyone attending has never read one. And obviously you identified that there was a gap in the market on this.
There are actually 2 comics now, but you know, it's a comics, so it's for older kids, like teenagers. And they were published last year, I would say. Yes, because we had this year of Milan Rastislav Štefánik, because he won this most famous Slovak. It was a TV show and he won. So yes, so we have like 2 comics, but nothing for small kids that we were aiming, because for our kids. Yes.
And I think there was also a movie that was shown, right? That was released, a new movie about his life in Slovak.
It was, you mean the Trick movie, this shot on this green background?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So a lot was happening last year about Štefánik, but I'm so glad that that now there is a children's book. So now the answer can be yes for all of our audience members who attended today. What about the next question, Peter? How many countries in the world do you think Milan Rastislav Štefánik visited during his lifetime? So it looks like our audience is correct. It's more than 10. So maybe, Robo, you can give us a list of some of the places he's visited.
Yes, well, there were too many, as I mentioned. Switzerland, now we can say also Czech Republic. Hungary, of course, because he was studying there when he was young. He went to America as well. He went to Brazil. He went to Ecuador. Went to Tunisia, Italy, like Sicilia. He went to Turkestan. He went to Japan, Russia, of course, Romania. So I think he was also in the UK. He was in Oxford. And yes, Tahiti, that was part, I think, of France at that moment. Yes, it was like too many countries and too many to list it in one book, one kid's book. But it was amazing. And actually, that's also something that we want to give away to our kids, and not only to our kids, but to any kids, or even the adults, that they should travel to see the world and then come back. And
indeed, I think there's a saying: the more languages you know, the more of a person you are. But it's also the more places that you visit, because you interact with others, you learn their culture, their different ways of thinking about life. And so, indeed, it's a great message to share with our younger generation, with our kids. And then maybe the last question on the poll. What language would you prefer to buy this book in? In both languages, 83%. So that's fantastic. So that gives you more impetus to ensure that it's translated to English, French, and Italian, if feasible. A project for you guys in the years to come. And then the last question, I think, will be coming up, and this one is interesting. Which Slovak personality would you suggest to feature in the next children's book series? And we sort of alluded to it. This is a series that you'd like to build and continue. And so you have some interesting and excellent candidates to consider. And then maybe I hand it over to you, Róbert. What are you working on now? And what's the next book in your series?
Yes, well, thanks a lot for the suggestions, and I can share with you something actually. So this is our second book, which, by the way, now we have a crowdfunding campaign again. It's our first week now in the campaign, so the book is ready. Now we are also trying to get the contribution from people, and print it out. The visual is the same. So this is the second book, Ja som Ľudovít, and it will be about Ľudovít too, of course. So I'm really glad that this suggestion came up. And I'm also glad about the other ones, because the Moritz Beňovský was our third candidate, but we postponed him to the fourth place, and the third one will be then a woman, probably. So that's our plans for the future. Actually, we have plans like for 10 other people, but let's hope so that we will be able to deliver them. And Zdeno Chára, that's actually my favorite. Stanka didn't know, but I would really love to do a book about him. Yes. And Andrej Hlinka, well, that's that's something like more in the next, not the first 10, but maybe later on, we'll see. But yeah, there are plenty of people, and there are also a lot of guys actually that went to US, like Mr. Bosak, I would say, or Mr. Osusky, who were involved in the creation of Czechoslovakia. I think their stories are amazing, and they should be. We believe that's why we created this series. They should be brought to the not only kids but also to the adults. So yeah.
Indeed, we'll wish you much luck, and we're excited to see the other books that will come about. And Jasom Ludovic will be the next one that I'm excited to add to my little private children's book library.
Yes, a short video about Ludovic, if we can show it. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you so much. So you had mentioned that this is a campaign to crowdfund this new book. So tell us a little bit more about that.
About the book, you mean, or the campaign?
And the campaign, both.
Yes. Okay. So the book. Okay, we knew that we want to create another book because it's a series, of course. Ludovic was our second choice, and we started because we wanted to investigate all the books and get the knowledge about Ludovic, and we were afraid actually that after Milan it will be really tough to bring interesting story, because we know that Milan is really interesting. He did a lot. He was his life was full of travel and all the amazing stuff. But when we searched for Ludovic and we checked the books, we found out that his story resonates even more with us. Because it was, as you also mentioned, with the languages, actually, he's spoken a lot of languages. He's spoken also English. And all the Slovak, not Slovak, but all the like Russian and Croatian and Serbian, I think 12 languages it was. And he really promoted to have help the guys in Slovakia, not only in Slovakia, but overall, to build this community, which is something that you also create now in USA. And so that's something that says okay, Milan was amazing. He contributed a lot. He was in abroad and he always thought about Slovakia, which is great for us. But Ludovic stayed here and he created this Slovak language that we are now writing with, and he unified the Slovaks, because that's also something that we didn't know that much exactly, because Ludovic we studied at at school. But it was, as I said, we were teenagers, so it was not that very interesting for us. We had other ideas, and now it all clicks together, with the Slovak language. Like the people were divided because you had Catholics, which had different language. You have the Protestants. They use the Czech language, for example. And when he introduced the Slovak language for everyone, there was a lot of struggle. So it was not that happy end that he created Slovak language. And now everyone was using it. Now, actually, there were a lot of people, even his friends, who turned on him, and saying, why did you create a new language? Because we can use the Czech. It's much refined and elegant and so on. So that's something that we were really surprised. And actually, we also had another illustrator for the next book. So please check out the campaign. There are some pictures. Please do that. And for the campaign, amazing thing about the campaigns are that you work with other guys, because you provide the rewards to the guys who support. So not only the book, but we also try to provide some rewards for the support. Like we have the candle, for example. It's here, and it's created all by Slovak guys here in Levoča, which is another city. So we created this canned experience, I would say, and it's called Rozvíjaj sa, which maybe Sabina, you can help me with. It's this metaphorical, because you also saw the video where he planted a tree. Although it's metaphoric, or it's symbolic, I would say. So he planted the tree, and that was kind of his work. So he planted the tree, and he knew at that point that he will not sit in the shadow of the tree. That's how we see Ludovic, that he actually did with language something that he personally didn't enjoy that much, but he knew that it's for the future. And so this even the candle, it's saying that the people should evolve. Okay, how to say, so it's like related to the tree, that if you plant the trees, the tree should grow up and become big, but also people should personally grow. And if they personally grow, then actually they are creative, which is also something that we would like to promote. And then we're happier, of course. And even the whole Slovakia, not only Slovakia, but the world will be a much better place, like world peace now.
No, definitely. With everything new that we learn and new things that we try, we blossom, right? We blossom as with nature. And so it's so important. And I love your positivity of the both of you and really bringing this to the market. As I said, each of us, you have a beautiful family, you have your careers, but you've kind of came onto this road and ventured into this because you saw a very important need, and it is so important for our kids, and also to just share with the world what Slovaks have accomplished. We're a very tiny country, but we do have incredible big people that we should be proud of, and inspire new generation to be those big people for the future. So absolutely love it, and I love the Ludovic book. So we're excited to support that campaign. So again, for all those of you watching, please, the link will be shared in the chat, and we'll also send you an email with the information on where you can purchase the Jasom Milan book and the Jasom Ludovic book, and we'll share that information. So at this point, let me take an opportunity to congratulate both of you. It's rather amazing that no one thought to write a children's book before 2020 when you launched it. And let me congratulate you on really inspiring our future because of our past, right? Your books should be in every household so that our children may learn from the heroes of the past and one day become heroes of the future. So thank you so much to both of you, Stanka, Robo, for joining us today, for sharing your beautiful book with us. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Peter behind the scenes, Peter Krajniak, for helping us managing the IT today. And again, a big shout out to Lenka Turas, who was the interlocutor for us to meet. So we do have such a wonderful community here in the United States. And I see that you also have a little bit of love of America. I see the Statue of Liberty behind you. So I hope that we will get to meet in person in the US, and that our Slovak-American Cultural Center members will get to meet you, and we'll get to talk to you more about your future projects. So wishing you the best of luck, Robo, Stanka. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And it was a pleasure. And yes, we hope that we'll see each other in New York because we love the city. And yes, let's hope so. But 3 kids, it's not that easy. Maybe you should come to Slovakia or...
Perhaps we might make that happen as well. But again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you to our audience for sharing this Sunday afternoon with us. Please share your feedback and let us know what we can do better and what other incredible, inspirational people we can share with you. So ďakujeme srdečne, Robko, Stanka, a prajeme pekný zvyšok.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Dovidenia.
Bye.